Frownies are, in a nutshell, wrinkle patches that you wear at night while you sleep. They are the most effective, non-invasive, natural alternative to Botox and Dysport and all of the other injectable things that people use to smooth their wrinkles.
Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. My guest today is Helen Morrison, the fifth generation CEO of Frownies, a 130-year-old family-owned, women-led skincare company that's built its legacy on simplicity, authenticity, and results. From vintage beauty secrets to viral TikTok fame, Frownies has managed to stay both timeless and relevant. And today, Helen's sharing how she's leading the legacy into its next chapter. We'll talk about leadership, motherhood, risk, and what aging gracefully really means in a world obsessed with perfection. So without further ado, let's welcome Helen. Welcome, Helen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. I can't wait to talk all things Frownies. But before we start each episode, we have our wine, and win of the week segment. That is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, then about something that's been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So Helen, what is your drinking wine of the week?
To be honest, my favorite, and this is not maybe going to please the audience, my favorite is kombucha, and it's not wine.
That's quite all right. I always say that
Kombucha.
I always say guests have been like, "Oh, I don't drink wine. Can I come on your podcast?" I said, "Yeah, you can share your favorite drink, and kombucha is such a good
In
one."
a wine glass, but
Yeah,
kombucha.
yeah, you gotta have the glass. My last guest, that's what we were talking about. It's all about the glass. It just makes it feel so much more realistic, you know?
Although I will say I do love a good fruity white wine, but I'm just more of
Mhm.
a kombucha girl.
What kind of kombucha do you like?
My favorite is anything from GT's kombucha.
Cool. I'll have to look into that. I always like trying new flavors. So, what is your WHINE of the week? Your complaint?
My children's school needs to consolidate communications.
I understand.
Everybody out there, raise your hand if you have 17,000 channels of notifications. Why do we not have one? We need the Slack of the school system. That's what we need.
Yes. I know. I just before this, I got like 4 different emails from my kids' school who, they're obviously at the same school. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
Yep.
Wait, what is happening here?
Right. It's emails,
So,
Remind, Group Me, Instagram, all the
mhm,
things, all the
too
time.
many. So, what is your win of the week?
My win of the week. Well, as the new CEO of Frownies, today apparently is National Bosses Day. I didn't know that was a thing before today, but my employees, all my people on my team got together and made this compilation video telling me how much they love me. And it literally, I'm going to watch that every day for the next year. I was crying like a miserable, ugly cry, but it was just so good. It made me feel so loved. Just being new in this role, wanting to connect well with all of the employees and the different teams. And it's just been really special to hear their feedback on my first 60 days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that is so cool because you never know until you know. And you're questioning yourself probably every day if you're doing the right thing. And to see something like that probably gives such confidence and
It
just
was great.
that all the hard work that's amazing. Well, congrats. So I
Thank you.
always ask my guests, what is one significant challenge that you've successfully navigated shaping your journey to where you are today?
Well, this is a family business, and being in business with family is tricky. And I think that getting to this place, the reality is most businesses don't even last 2 generations, let alone 5.
Wow.
And so I'm very proud of just everything that we've done and everything we've gotten through to get to this place as a family, but to also be in business and maintaining those relationships and all of those things is definitely a challenge. Some days more than others, but I'm proud to say we've made it through and here I am.
Yeah, I know. And I can't wait to ask you all about it because it was so fun reading about the history of the business and just how really, truly amazing it is back to what, 1889, I think was when it
Yep.
First, yeah. Oh my gosh, so cool.
That's
Well,
right.
before we get to talk about that, we talk a little fitness, and I always ask my guests, "What's your favorite way to stay active?"
Oh my gosh, I love movement of all types, but probably my biggest love is like a good, hot, sweaty yoga flow. I've
Mhm.
actually been teaching yoga for like 17 years now, and it definitely is the thing that makes me feel the best.
Yeah. And how does maintaining your fitness routine align with your mental health?
It is my mental health. I really and truly, I think I'm at the place in my journey that for me, working out is a lot more about mental well being and sanity and joy than anything else. I don't really have this necessarily like fitness goal I'm striving to. I'm not trying to lose weight. I feel good in my own body, but it's the mental wellness. I am a nicer person. I walk out of my workout space just happy and confident and ready to face the day. And I also walk out feeling satisfied that I have what I need. There's something about like
Mhm.
starting your day with working out where you're like, okay, I got what I needed for the day. And as a mom and a business person, it's like, the moment your day gets going, there's a million and one things, and none of them are you taking care of you. And so doing that first really just sets my mindset where I'm okay for all the needs of the other people and the business and all the things because I did that one thing for myself. And I can face things with an optimistic, and like resilient, ready place if I did that
I
first.
love that. It is so important to start the day off with you, and that's the best way to kind of get it going. So let's talk about parenthood. Tell us about your family.
Well, I have 2 kids. My son, Maverick, is 10, almost 11, and my daughter, Sunny, is 7, and she'll turn 8 this month.
That's great. And what were you least prepared for in parenthood?
Well, I was a school teacher and I thought I was just going to be the best mom and it would be so easy. And, you see things other kids do, other moms do, and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And I'm going to control the whole scenario to have this perfect situation. And I'm just going to be the best because I'm a school teacher and I do so great with everyone else's kids. I wasn't prepared for the fact that it doesn't go anything like that. It's not the same. And all of the things that you think that you're going to have this checklist of items that you do, and that's going to make sure that your kids turn out like XYZ. But that doesn't factor in that they all have their own personalities and that they're their own human beings. And no matter how much you feed them a certain food, that doesn't mean they're going to love it. And so I just think that I wasn't prepared that being a mom meant actually having other human beings that have their own thought processes and their own opinions. They're going to do their own thing.
Yeah, that aren't sitting behind a desk, waiting for instructions all day. I
No,
totally can relate to that because I teach as well. And it's like, when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, I'm so prepared. Been doing this for so long.
not at
And
all.
then I'm
It's
like,
not the
no,
same.
this is not. So, what's your parenting style?
I think I'm very relaxed and I really didn't realize I don't like telling people what to do.
You're,
That doesn't work well with kids and I'm the CEO. Well, I think as a leader of adults, you can inspire people and you can
yeah,
like show them the way and you can, but with children, there's a lot of just you actually have to have like direct instruction and hold the line and have the
right.
boundaries and deal with the tears and all of that. And so I would say I am a very relaxed, laid back parent, even though my kids might not think I am. But I see other people and I'm like, you know what? I'm actually pretty chill.
Right.
Sometimes it's killing me. I wish I was that militant mom that was like, no, stand in a line and do what I say. But I just can't do it. I am very compassionate, empathetic. I feel their feelings more than I want
Hmm.
to every day. And so I'm pretty empathetic, pretty laid back, and I really believe that they are humans that should be respected too. And so it's hard for
Hmm.
me to just go, "No, you're going to do what I said because I said so." I am not that mom. I'm way more like, "Well, let me explain why. Let me tell you why,"
Yeah.
which is I think nice and also sometimes exhausting because, sometimes kids are never going to get why. They're going to see you explaining it to them as this open door for, okay, so you're telling me there's a chance. You're like,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you that. I'm explaining why it's a no. So
And so what's one piece of advice that you would give to other parents?
Give yourself more grace and take care of yourself. You have to prioritize yourself for sure. I am a better mom when I am taking care of myself, and I can't feel guilty about it because I won't. It behooves my children to allow me to have a moment for me because then I come back better for them. And so give yourself grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. Do not feel that you have to sacrifice every ounce of yourself on the altar of parenting. You still have to take care of you, and that will help you show up better for them.
Yeah, that's great advice.
And if
All
they're
right. Well, yes.
crazy, don't blame yourself. And if they're awesome, don't give yourself the credit. They were likely born that way.
Yes, I do agree with that. I feel like that I learned that a lot with both my kids. Like they are born with a lot of their personality and
Yep.
you can parent them the same as close as possible and it's gonna be different.
Yep. Yep.
So let's get into Frownies. So for listeners who may not know the full story, what is Frownies and how did this 130-year-old brand become such a beloved women-led staple?
Yeah, frownies are, in a nutshell, wrinkle patches that you wear at night while you sleep. They are the most effective, non invasive, natural alternative to Botox and Dysport and all of the other injectable things that people use to smooth their wrinkles. The reason that they work is because they have a water activated adhesive. It dries and it hardens and it creates a shell, essentially holding everything in place. So, just like we can train the muscles in our body to hold a different shape, or we can get massage to relax the muscles and things like that. You can manipulate the muscles of your face. And with Botox, the reason that's effective is it's basically just relaxing the muscle tension. So with Frownies, you're doing that mechanically through the patches and you're retraining those muscles to relax. When you stop the furrowing, then those creases begin to lift. And so that's how Frownies work. That's what they are.
So how did the brand become such like a beloved
Yes.
staple in
Yes.
women's lives?
Yes. Well, women, honestly, since 1889 have cared about taking care of their skin. And it's interesting finding old advertising and marketing materials. Some of the things that we say today, they said the same things back then. And so this has been like beauty has been a lifelong pursuit for women. So the let's see, 2021, we got on TikTok and Instagram. I joined the company at the end of 2020 to take on our social media. And so getting on social media and putting the story out there, essentially we just started to take off and go viral and grow a community. And you said this at the beginning of the podcast, but you said, what were your words? Simple, authentic, and results. And that's
Hmm.
why we've taken off because it's a simple product. People are tired. There is a fatigue coming along through Botox and fillers and injectables and all these cosmetic procedures. People are getting a little bit of exhaustion from that. We're about 24 years into Botox being used as a cosmetic, and we're also starting to hear a lot more about the negative side effects. It's been around long enough now that we're starting to have more education and awareness of what could happen if you use Botox for 10, 15 years. People are starting to become immune to Botox or stop working anymore. So we're at this point in culture where people are either exhausted by all of the plastic surgery and the fake filler fatigue. People are immune and Botox doesn't do anything for them anymore. Or people are also just waking up to the awareness of wanting to be healthy and wanting to take care of their bodies. All of that's kind of happening right now. So at the same time, we jumped on social media, started sharing the product, building a community, and it's really just meeting a need. It is a simple product. It is something that we are very authentic. We pride ourselves on being honest, telling the truth. We want to under promise and over deliver. I think a lot of brands are also a lot of times you see people making these wild claims that, something like Botox in a bottle. There's no Botox in a bottle. No
Right.
skin serums or creams are going to do anything for your facial muscles. And so people are tired of being given this pitch that sounds like too good to be true. We're really honest and we tell you, you've got to be consistent. You got to do this every day and like you got to earn these results. And I think that resonates with people. And then also, again, the result themselves. Frownies work. The results are crazy. We have literally thousands of customer before and afters that even though I see these every day, it still blows my mind when somebody sends me their pictures. I'm just like, whoa, I can't believe this is possible. So the results are just real. And if a product works this well, I mean, that's why it's been around for 130 years because it just works.
Yeah. And so for someone who maybe just started today, how long do you think it would take them before they see their results?
Well, that's always the question. And honestly, I tell people there's really not a solid answer of how long on one hand,
Hmm.
because I need to know some things about you. How old are you? What's your lifestyle? How deep were your lines to start? How expressive are you? What's your skin type? Do you have dry skin? Do you have oily skin? Do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you eat a lot of processed foods? Do you exercise daily? Do you use good skincare? Like all of that, this is a holistic approach. All of that matters when it comes to your results with Frownies. So you can't just use Frownies and then, get terrible sleep, eat garbage food, have no skincare routine, go sleep in your makeup and expect that you're going to have this gorgeous glowing result. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors. Now, on the other hand, I hear people like, yeah, yeah, we get it. But how long does it take? So I tell people, again, I like to under promise, over deliver. General rule of thumb is we know it takes about 12 weeks for full cell turnover of the skin. We also know that if you're going to start working out, it takes about 12 weeks in the gym to start to see changes in the muscles of the body. So I tell people if you're not at the 12-week mark and you don't have the results you want yet, you haven't done it long enough. Now, we have people who are like, I saw results in 1 week. I saw results in 1 month. But some people come to us with very deep lines and it's going to take longer. The other thing is even at 12 weeks, you'll have some results, but at 6 months, they're going to be better. At a year, they're
Yeah.
going to be better. It's just like fitness. How long does it take you to get in shape? It's like, well, it's a lifetime pursuit. And that's the thing too with Brownies. It's not something that you're going to get the results and, okay, good, now you can stop. Botox isn't
Yeah.
even that way. Not even a facelift. The day after the facelift, your skin starts aging again. Like it's just what it is. So it does have to be maintained, but results are cumulative. So the fun part is every morning you peel your frownies off and you get this satisfaction of like instant smooth. Then your lines are going to come back throughout the day. I tell people to
Yeah.
think of it a lot more like ironing your clothes. If you said like, how
Hmm.
often do I need to iron my clothes? I don't know. How wrinkly are you making them? That's the question. So it's like if you iron your clothes and hang them in your closet, you won't have to iron them for months. If you iron your clothes and you crumple them up and wear them and you're doing stuff, you need to iron them again tomorrow. So this is just a natural process like all of our skincare. You need to daily moisturize, daily sunscreen, daily wash your face, daily relax the tension that's been built up from your facial expressions. But at about 3 months, 3 to 6 months, if you have very deep lines, you should start to see that at the end of the day, things look a little softer and a little softer over time.
And no, I love that because I think people like you're not promising that in 3 days you're gonna have, the results of what you think you have. And like you said, if you're lifting a muscle, it's gonna take some time to do. And then it just kind of will be easier after you get that lift. So that's really great information to know. So the other thing that I'm just fascinated about is that you're the fifth generation CEO of a 130-year-old brand. Like that is, I know that I said that was just something really cool that I loved learning about. What was the moment that you realized that you wanted to lead this company? And like, how did you feel about being that fifth generation of doing it?
Well, let's see. I definitely didn't have this on my bingo card for very long. My grandmother used to say, like, oh, one day you'll work in the business. And I didn't even want to work in the business. I just didn't think that was for me. But what
Mhm.
I do and what I've been doing, it was something I knew nothing about. And there was no social media back then. And I definitely love social media. I love connecting with people online. And so that was kind of my open door to begin being a part of the company. And the more that I built my team and the more that I continued to learn about the business over the past 5 years, I more and more fell in love with this from a business standpoint. And I realized as
Right.
well, I love leadership as well. And I don't think I knew what it meant to fully be a CEO or to run the business until probably the last year. We started looking at, okay, my mom was getting older and she's talking about retirement and stuff. It's like, okay, what are we going to do next? Are we going to do a CEO search? Are we going to sell? Are we going to, you know, what's next? And I think in the process of just discussing all of our options with various executive recruiters and, M&A attorneys and bankers and just looking at all the possibilities, I started to realize, you know what? Like, I guess in some ways I thought like I didn't, there's part of me was like, oh, I guess I couldn't be the CEO. Like, I've never done that before. But as we started to talk to all the experts, I was like, wait a minute, these people don't know anything that I
Yeah,
don't know.
that you don't know.
And
Right.
they don't know anything about Frownies. And I know everything about
Yeah.
Frownies. And I know these people and I love this team. And the more that, I loved like, I love professional development and like personal development. And the more that I dove into leadership and what it looks like to be a good leader, the more that I just was like, oh my gosh, like I want to lead these people because I believe that leadership is service. And I love my team and I love the employees that we have. I love the community, the customers. And I think who better to lead the organization than the person who loves them the most? And that's me.
Yeah.
And I could get emotional thinking about it, but
Ah, I'm
I
chilled.
really do just, I want to champion my team and my customers. And I just when it came to, like, would we hand this over to someone else? Like, I can never give someone else my baby. Like, these are my
No.
people. This is my team. These are my customers. And this is my story and my grandmother. So the more that I saw, like, oh, well, that's the heart of a CEO is
Mhm.
like, who will love this place the most? Who will sacrifice for it the most? Me. No one will
Yeah.
ever sacrifice more for it than me. And I'll make sure of that. And so that's where I was like, okay, I can do this. I am the right person for this role. And, but I would say it was really just the past year when I, looked around and it was like, where are all the adults? It's like, this is it. It's me. And that's kind of how parenting is too. Like, you're like, you're a kid and you see your parents, you're like, one day I'll be a parent. And I'm like, I'm a parent now. I'm in charge of these people and keeping them alive. What? I feel the same as I did when I was 16. So it's just one of those things.
Yes, I totally relate to that because many a times throughout the day, I'm like, where is the person that I go to?
Who's
Yes,
the
that's
person who
me.
knows more than me? Who's going to help me know what to do?
Yeah.
There's nobody.
Um, yeah. So obviously Frownies is built on this legacy, but you talked about injecting modern energy and innovation. So how do you balance like honoring that heritage while pushing forward to make it in today's world?
Well, I think we continue to infuse our story into everything that we do. And the
Hmm.
reality is, too, the Frownies patches, which is like our hero product, because we have a whole skincare line
Hmm.
as well. But the
Hmm.
Frownies patches, they work and they haven't changed. And so it's like, we continue to sell that product as the hero product, and that's what people continue to want. But I think we're utilizing the tools and the resources that exist as far as social media and online communities and different technology tools and things like that, and then also innovating with other skincare products within the product line and things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's like a matter of, just kind of using the new tools for connecting with people more than anything else.
Yeah. And that was going to be kind of my next question. Like, I feel like the world is hyper competitive now. The social media, the short attention spans. What has kind of been the biggest like moonshot idea for Frownies, making it go viral? But you kind of think maybe it reshapes the brand.
Well, the real truth is in social media, it's not like there's this hack. The moonshot idea is consistency. The moonshot idea is showing up every single day, being a student of the platforms and of culture and of your customers, and using these social media tools to just keep showing up. Really,
Hmm.
because I didn't know anything about TikTok when I got on and I posted my first video. And things started happening, things started going viral, and I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. But it was like, well,
Yeah.
just do it anyway. Just show up, like just try. And that's the thing. It's just keep on trying and keep on showing up, keep on learning, keep on honing what you do. And these social media really does reward the consistent. Now, there are tricks of
Hmm.
the trade and like things to learn, but that's a constant. The platforms keep changing. When I first started, there were no Instagram Reels, and then Instagram Reels started, and there was one way to do it that really worked, and then that shifted, and then it was trending audios, and then they're just it's always changing, it's always shifting, there's always new strategies. So you got to stay on top of that, but there's not
Mhm.
like a special formula. It's consistency.
Yeah. And
Continue to just do the
I
same
do
thing.
totally agree with that. I'm like, I hate when people are like, "Oh," I mean, like, my answer is also consistency because I feel like I'm like, I don't there is nothing else besides consistency. One day you'll have a viral video and the next day you'll have
Yeah.
a flop, and
Yeah.
there's no really reason
And
reason
something you
why.
think's gonna flop, yeah, something you think's gonna
Yes.
flop does great, and something you think's gonna do
Yeah.
great flops, and it's
Yeah. It's so
there's
true.
best practices, but at the same time, it's like, how many times do you shoot a dart at a board? The more
Right.
times you throw the dart, the more times you'll hit the bullseye, like, it just is.
Yeah.
And you'll have to be
And so,
okay
like,
with plenty of times where it just doesn't hit at all.
doesn't right. Yeah. And so in the skincare world, like how do you navigate the trends as well, like the clean beauty, the sustainability, while staying true to the brand's DNA?
Well, to be honest, because we started in 1889 and not a lot has changed, back then there was a lot less just packaging and clutter and
Hmm.
toxins and all the things. Everything was pretty simple. So we have carried this sort of clean beauty, sustainable, minimal packaging from back when that was all you could do
Right.
through the times. And as the times have changed, we're just like, well, just keep doing it. So we were
Yeah.
really like, in a way, we were like
Ahead.
clean beauty before clean beauty was a thing. And we still remain. So I think, like, honestly, the trends are only shifting more towards what we've been about
Yeah.
all along. And so it's only
Which is so cool.
highlighting that, like, yeah, hey, we've been over here. We've been doing this. So hi.
Yeah. And again, in the skincare world, what there's a lot of different definitions of aging gracefully. So what do you as a CEO think aging gracefully really means and how does Frowny kind of support that for its community?
Yeah, to me, when it comes to aging gracefully or aging well, it starts with loving yourself and the joy and the character that you have on the inside.
Hmm.
Because the prettiest people are the happiest people.
I
When you
know.
see older women and they're just glowing, they're smiling, and they're joyful, you just see them and think like, "Oh my goodness, she's so beautiful." And you're probably not even looking at her skin or her wrinkles or her makeup or her hair color or anything. It's this joy that's radiating from a heart full of like love and gratitude for life. And so that's where it starts. And then everything you do comes out of that. The results are going to be different than I'm doing things to look younger, and some people might say to age gracefully, but I
Yeah.
am miserable and I hate myself and I'm like
Hmm.
scowling at myself and I'm cranky and all of that. You're not going to end up aging gracefully. You're not going to end up feeling or looking beautiful. You're going to end
Right.
up with maybe skin. Just if we just took a snapshot of your skin, maybe your skin might look younger than someone else, but you do not look like you aged well. You look like you're miserable
Right.
and you're uncomfortable and you're unhappy. And that is not aging gracefully. And so I always say you can't get a positive output from a negative input. So if you want to
Hmm.
age well, you have to put a positive input into the system, which is love, gratitude, joy, community, relationships, things that matter so that the inside out makes you more beautiful than you could ever be if you were just focusing on the outside only. And
Yeah.
so that's to me what aging gracefully is about. It's not we're all eventually going to age. I will eventually have more wrinkles than I do now, no matter how many frownies I wear.
Hmm.
Eventually, I will look 70, 80, 90, whatever. But
Which is
there's a
okay.
way of showing up. Right. And that's not bad, right? And at the
Hmm.
same time, I definitely plan to have gorgeous skin for, when I'm 90. But that gorgeous skin doesn't mean wrinkle free, stretch tight, right? And so I think there just has to be a balance between, look, I'm going to do everything I can to maintain this meat sack that I live in and to show up the best I can because I also need this to last. I want to live a long, healthy life. And in order to do that, I've got to take care of all this so that it lasts for my one life that I'm given. But the focus has got to be on that internal beauty and joy so that the outside reflects what's inside. Cause yeah, misery on the inside and all the plastic
That's
surgery is not gonna help you. And you're not gonna feel like you aged gracefully.
Yeah, it's so true. And as you were saying that, I was thinking of people that I know who have such great like aura and energy and they have lots of wrinkles. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I don't really think about that when I think of them. I think about the energy that they put out no matter what
Yeah.
their age is, which is a fun way to think about it. You said you built up your social media platform and you built the community on authenticity. But can you share a story of like a fan or a community member who you kind of felt deeply touched by the Frownies community?
My gosh, I could share
I'm sure you have
literally
so many.
hundreds of stories. Honestly, we have the best customers, and it blows my mind because people will daily write in with messages, and it's not just like, oh, I'm so happy that my skin looks good. They say things to us like, I just could never imagine, like, this has changed my life. And
Right.
this isn't just about my skin. It's like I am a new person. This has changed like everything. I mean, I'll tell you, like this is a little clip from a message that one of our more recent Frowny fans. He said, "You didn't just hand me a cute little pink box. You handed me a lifeline, a hand to hold, a voice of encouragement, and an entire community. You gave me a reason to keep showing up for myself every single day." And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And
Amazing.
that's like, and he goes on for like four more paragraphs, and it's just like,
That's so cool.
dang. And this is not the first person who has said
Right.
this that I'm just like, wow. But you just don't realize people look at themselves in the mirror every day, and a lot of people hate what they see. And there's a lot, I think, especially amongst women, there's like a culture of criticizing
Mhm.
ourselves and loathing ourselves and insecurity. And like that's what we're almost trained to talk bad about ourselves rather than celebrate ourselves. And so, when you are just looking at yourself in the mirror every day with those negative self thoughts over and over again, it really does start to wear on who you are and how you show up on the
Yeah.
world. And, when people start to feel good about themselves, just from some little thing. And like Frownies, it really makes a huge difference. And I also believe that the more you take care of something, the more you love it, right? Like here
Right.
we have babies and they require us day in and day out to take care of them. And it's like that builds this bond of love and trust.
Mhm.
And the more you give yourself to something, the more you love it. And so it's like little
Right.
rituals of self care, simple things like skincare, Frownies, or whatever it is. It's like you really are sending this message to your brain like, I love you. You're valuable. You matter. And I think
Yeah,
that practice is more powerful than people realize. And so
it
sometimes
is.
people have this like, just let women age. And I'm like, we are, and
Yeah,
there's an element of having habits and rituals where you're caring for yourself that it makes you a happier person. So,
yeah. And like Frownies is similar to just doing like a regular, like you're gonna wash your face every day. So
yeah,
why can't you just
put
put
it
some Frownies on before you go to bed? Like
right.
that's the same idea of it. And you can not be putting in all of this extra effort to make yourself just feel better when you wake up in the morning, just like you
Right.
kind of said.
Yep.
Yeah. So because your business is family owned, but it is also very large and you run it with a strong emotional connection, how do you maintain sincerity in messaging as you grow so it still feels personal and not corporate?
Well, that's just, I think, an extension of who I am and how I lead. I think that the leadership in an organization really determines the culture. And so the leaders and the people that I hire, that's a core value that we instill in them. And then that's then instilled into their teams as well. And so I think it's all about the culture that you build. And if that's the kind of culture that you build, then that's the kind of culture that you'll have. And
Right.
so for me, it is very core values driven, I guess. And that we just continue to hire and fire and reward based
Yeah.
on those core values. Yeah. I mean, that part for me is easy, but it's because it's who I am.
Yeah, and that you can tell for sure that and that's what a good leader brings to the table, which is wonderful, like all of that tradition and happiness. So, even though there is a lot of happiness, tell me about a time you failed or thought you maybe failed as either CEO or as the social media aspect of it and how you kind of turned it around or are still working through it.
Well, actually, I will say this year has definitely been a more challenging year for us. And the overall landscape in financial markets and in the world, people are under a lot of pressure financially. There's a lot of, the inflation and like tariffs and like there's a lot of fear in the financial markets. And then, within household purchasing power and people out there who just your regular people trying to pay their bills and costs have
Yeah,
gone up. And there's a lot that has been challenging in the marketplace, which means spending is down. And so for us, this year we had set some like pretty lofty projections for growth and
right.
we did not hit those projections. But I think that, it's been a good learning journey because also when you're smaller, it's easier to grow, because
Right.
50% growth for a small business, that's a much smaller number. When you get to be bigger, 50% is like more than you may have ever
Right.
made in a year prior. Like it's a lot. So I think just the challenge of, okay, what else can we do now other than like, because, we've relied heavily on social media and that kind of stuff. And so, kind of coming back to the drawing board to go, okay, what are we going to do different in 2026? What other levers for growth and getting the message of Frownies out there do we have? Because we've been very much just focused on this social media channels. And so, like, what's next? And so, we're still kind of working through that and figuring out what we're going to do next and what will be the next kind of risk, I guess. Because I would encourage anybody out there, if you're not doing social media for your business, like, get on it. It's risk free.
Hmm.
And the
Right.
upside is there. Whereas
Right.
a lot of other traditional channels for growing your business, there's a little bit more of like, okay, we're going to take this risk and we'll see what happens. There's an investment to be made and things. Whereas like
Hmm.
social media is free. People get
Right.
on it. And if you have a great product and you're going to build a community and you're going to add value to the world, you can do something amazing for free
Hmm.
on social media.
Yeah.
Whereas, other things take a little bit more risk. And so I think even the failing to risk sooner probably has caught up with us this year, and so it's time for us to see, like, what's next.
So you have talked so much about all the wonderful things that Frownies has brought, but if you could go back and sit across from your great great grandmother, the first woman who started this legacy, what would you want to tell her about how far women have come and what still matters?
This is the part of the podcast where I always cry when people ask me these questions. You know, I just feel like I would probably just express so much gratitude and just kind of congratulate her for her strength and her vision was probably, I mean, she would be shocked and would
Yeah.
be like, I had no idea. And I think just I would want to talk to her about the power of a woman's vision and dreams and willingness to go for it. And the ripple effect from that is just like I'm living proof that it's insane. And I think that
Yeah.
many of us are the result of many, many women and the things they've done and the paths they've paved, but we don't think about it a lot because it's kind of like we're all just living our life. But I'm just very aware every single day of the legacy that I come from of women who, I mean, women didn't have jobs, they didn't vote, they didn't have businesses. This was not a thing. And she had the audacity to do this. And she traveled around the country with her daughter, who was a pianist and a model, and they spread the word of Frownies and they didn't let what culture said women could do at the time hold them back.
Hmm.
And that I think is just such a strong legacy to stand on and to know like that's what I come from and that's who I'm going
Yeah.
to be. And I'm not going to let culture or the world tell me what I can and can't do and tell me, to shrink back or to hold back because who knows the things that I do today that my great great grandchildren, my great great granddaughter won't even know it, but will be who she is because of
Mhm.
the seeds that I planted. And so I would just express so much gratitude and I would just show her like the hundreds of thousands of customers and followers and people whose lives are affected not just because they got rid of their wrinkles but who have these
Right.
stories of I love myself again and then now I've been willing to take the risk and put myself out there and get the job and ask for the promotion and be the mom I needed to be and show up for myself and just all the things that I hear. I would just want to flip through page after page after page of all the testimonies and just be like, "You did this. You did
Yeah.
this."
I mean, I just can't imagine, like, she probably even though that was the business that she started, like, never imagined someone was gonna be emailing you about
Who
how,
imagines that 130 years later, their
Yeah.
business is still going, right? Like, nobody.
Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. Well, I think that is the perfect place to end it. So that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of The Running Wine Mom. Helen, this has been such a beautiful reminder that legacy doesn't have to mean staying the same. It can mean evolving with purpose while holding on to what matters most, which you have clearly done with Brownies. For anyone listening who wants to reconnect with their own confidence or maybe just rediscover the joy of simple skincare that works, you can learn more about Frownies at frownies.com and follow along on social for updates and community stories. So thank you for joining again. This was wonderful. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
As always, thanks for spending time with us on the Running Wine Mom podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a mom who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Running Wine Mom underscore. And Helen, where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, you can find me on social media on Instagram at Frownies, Facebook at Frownies. I also have my own personal Instagram that if you want to connect, it's Helen K. Morrison. And we're also on TikTok and YouTube at Frownies on all the channels.
Awesome. And I will link all of that. So thanks so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers, and I'll be back next Tuesday.